What's going on, you guys? So today I'm going to experiment making a ginger snap or gingerbread cookie. It is completely oil-free, refined sugar-free, so it's sweetened with dates, and it is definitely a healthier option. So I'm completely just winging it right now and hoping it turns out, but I will share with you what I am using for the recipe.
What's going on, you guys? So this is a healthier recipe for gingerbread cookies. It is a complete experiment. I am literally just experimenting on the spot, and that's why I am not starting this at the start of the recipe because it was a very last minute filming idea. But this is my first time making this recipe, and I just thought it would be fun to film if it turns out, and then that way I can share it with you all. So here I am just making my date paste. Well, that is what I just put in the microwave there. But for that is basically a quarter cup of medjool dates with a quarter cup of water, and you want to just kind of mash the dates around to create more of a paste-like consistency. And then you are going to add an eighth cup of molasses and a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and you are going to mash those together again. And then you want to pop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds to a minute, just because it will help really combine the ingredients and they'll be more movable and easier to mash. So here I just have my oat flour. It was already ground, but basically it is just 1.5 cup of steel cut oats ground into flour. And then you are going to need 1 tablespoon of flax, also ground. You could probably just grind the oats and the flax together, but I just did them separately for this video. But yeah, you're just going to add those together and mix them well until they are completely and fully combined. And now we are going to add the baking soda. So you need 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda for this recipe. I like baking soda for cookies just because I find that it is better for cookies, whereas baking powder is more for muffins and other baked goods. So you just want to give that a really good stir. Make sure everything is all well mixed, and then you are going to add your spices. So for spices I use here, I have 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but you can add as much as you want, half a teaspoon of cloves, and then a pinch of salt. And you want to really mix that together until it is all combined up. And now I am adding a little bit more liquid to my date paste. So I'm measuring out a quarter cup of cashew milk and mixing it in well. You might actually want to use a whisk for this. I just had a spatula because it was already dirty, but a whisk might be easier and less messy. So now that that is all mixed up, you are going to mix the wet and the dry ingredients together. So you just want to kind of make a hole in the middle where all the wet ingredients are, just for or where all the dry ingredients are, just so all the wet ingredients can it'll be easier to mix that way. And I'm just using a fork to mix, but you will see that I do end up switching over to a spatula just because it is hard to get all the dry ingredients off the edges of the bowl. So you really want to mix this around, and you can't really overmix this, like at least for cookies, in my opinion, you can't really overmix cookies. So you just really want to mix this around and make sure there is no dry mixture left and all the wet mixture has absorbed the dry mixture. So you want to just keep stirring, like I said, but then last minute, I felt like the consistency of the batter wasn't thick enough for cookies. So now I am just adding a quarter cup of coconut flour and an eighth cup of almond butter. And I chose to use almond butter because I find when cooking with coconut flour, you need some sort of fatty ingredient because otherwise it just doesn't. The coconut flour is very drying and it doesn't necessarily work out the best. So now the mixture is a lot thicker because of the coconut flour. The coconut flour absorbs a lot of the liquid, and it kind of continues to absorb it as you go. But so now it's a lot harder to mix. You are just mixing it around now. And now that it is all mixed, we are going to put it on a nonstick pan. So here I have a nonstick mat, but you could use parchment paper or you could probably just use a regular pan and just spray it. And I am just using a spoon to spoon it out, but it might be easier if you use a ice cream scoop because then all the cookies are more uniform. And if you wanted, you could press them or make them into a nicer shape, but I just kind of plopped them on there and hope all turned out. But yeah, so I am just putting these on here. They are going to go in the oven and bake for roughly 30, not 30, what am I talking about? They're going to bake at 350 for roughly 12 to 15 minutes until they are a little bit crisp on the outside and soft in the middle. So that is what I have for this recipe, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this, and yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!